you again. Welcome back to another episode of Love, Marriage, Fantasy. We are excited to be here today. I am Coach Star Claiborne. I am your global relationship strategist, your author, your pure romance consultant, and I and my husband, Mr. Claiborne, we work together to help couples and individuals really find healthy relationships, learn how to maintain their individualism while working together as a team. You want to introduce yourself, Mr.?
Sure.
More. Introduce yourself some more.
I am Anton Leonard Claiborne. I am a certified marriage facilitator. I'm also your relationship intimacy advisor. Together with Star, we are here to introduce you to one of the most interesting couples we've ever met. And that's not just since we've been doing the podcast. So take a moment to listen to this podcast because I'm sure that you will learn something from this couple that we're about to introduce to you. You guys are ready, right?
We over here.
Yes, we're
ready.
All right. Okay, y'all can stop kissing or whatever it is y'all were doing. Just because the people can't see you. You want to take some time to introduce yourself, Teresa?
Yeah, I'm Teresa Wright Johnson, and I am the significant other of this guy over here. And I just enjoy helping people, and in our relationship, I'm the extrovert. So that's me. We have 2 daughters that are teenagers right now at home, and that's about our life. But I'm the extrovert, and we're having a great time here. Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have Teresa and her husband. How do you want us to address you, sir?
You can address me as Gradie. I'm Gradie Johnson. I'm the spouse of Teresa. She's the extrovert. I am the introvert. So I don't know. I'm ready to dig in here and get into this, and let's see what this is all about.
All right.
Okay.
So we have Teresa and Gradie here to talk about the situation of being an opposite couple, where you have, in their case, one person who's an extrovert, the other is an introvert. And we think this is something that needs to be addressed because there are a lot of couples out there who are in similar relationships. All right, so let's get into this. Star, you said you had a question that you would.
Well, first I want to know,
ask.
well, I really want to know first, and just kind of tell our audience, like, how did you all really meet? And especially for you, Teresa, did you know he was an introvert when you first met him?
Well, see, we are a very different couple. I was not interested in him when I first met him. We actually were both married to other people. This is another marriage. At that time, I was a daycare provider, and his children came to my daycare, him and his ex-spouse. So nothing about him did I think of like that at all. But once I started dating him, I did realize that he was a introvert and I was an extrovert, but we both were coming out of a relationship, and that's how we started dating. And what we did realize is, though we were different, we had a lot of fun together. So we enjoyed like laughing and that kind of thing. At some point I did know that I was going to be Mrs. Johnson. So I even though he wasn't down for it at first, he'll tell you all about it. So different way how we got together, but it was really through me owning a daycare and him being a former customer.
Oh wow! So the time that you guys had to use after you got out of your first marriage, before the 2 of you got together, how long was that period? Were you?
So we both ended up being separated in our marriages. So
Okay.
we both were going through separation, divorce, or whatever. Actually, separation at first. I left my previous marriage, because of some domestic violence challenges. So I was coming out of that, and he was coming out of his relationship for whatever reason. And I'm sure he can always, if he wants to go into that. But we dated for a while, lived together for about a year, and got married within 2 years. So we've been together about 12 years now, and been married for 9 years.
Wow.
Okay.
So tell our audience, what was that dating period like? What type of dates did you go on? Because I'm pretty sure both of you were still feeling a little you know, a little, what's the word I'm looking for? You were still not quite sure whether or not you wanted to be in a relationship so soon, right? So what was that dating period like? What type of dates were y'all going on to help y'all get over that uncomfortable feeling?
It wasn't like so that's a good question, Anton, because we never really thought about it like that. We were just dating because, you know, we had, you know, a shared interest in each other and each other's company and things like that. So we did date. I mean, we went to, you know, lots of restaurants and, you know,
Parks,
and what?
like parks and
In
stuff
parks like that,
Movies.
hotels and things like that. So, so,
Well, leave that part out.
yeah, but really it was about us spending time together and just enjoying each other's company. And you know, between Teresa and I guess you could say that I was the one that was most not sure about being in a full-time, full-blown relationship again. This is my third marriage, and it has been my most successful relationship I've ever had. And I appreciate it, and I love that I'm in it with Teresa. But I have to admit, I was not the one that was, you know, really gung-ho about, you know, doing a real full relationship. I was more into, you know, having fun, experiencing time together, just having a real fun and good companion I could share my thoughts with and things like that. So relationship part for me is, I think about those a little differently than Teresa does. So, but that's basically how it was. We did spend a lot of time together, spent a lot of time going to places and restaurants and events. So,
and with our children.
and then, yeah, oh yeah. And then with our children, yeah, I don't want to leave them out, but you know, the thing is, you know, during our separation period with our ex-spouses, you know, we still were able to, you know, have our children, and we would all get together and take trips downtown to Atlanta and show them things. All the girls were very young at that time, so we made time to make sure that those important things were still, you know, maintained and achieved within our, you know, family structures anyway.
Wow, that's great. I'm glad it worked out for y'all. So you mentioned you at some point you brought the children in. Do you think that the children help the two of you feel comfortable around each other even sooner than you would have without the children?
I think for me, because like I say, he's a former daycare customer, I did see him with his children. He saw me with my children before, and our children knew each other. So that made it really easy for us to like have them be together because they already knew each other. And when he's saying they were little, when I started my daycare, they were 1 and 3. And so by the time we got married, my daughter was 5. And so we're saying they were very young. So they had already like hung out or been together. But I think for me, like he was saying, I felt like I saw him with his kids. He did well with his kids, and that's important as a mom, you know. I also was comfortable with having him around my children. Actually, I'm very protective, so I had done a background check on him. He hadn't known until later on.
That's right.
Like, I got girls, you can't be coming up in here, you know. Right. So we talked about, you know, how I did that. But the other thing was, for me, we ended up, you know, within a year of dating each other, a little less, we ended up living together. And I remember like one day being out at a restaurant and him eating, and he was telling me how he was never getting married again. And my brain was like, yes, you are. It's going to be a bit, la, 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 la. And I had it in my brain, but I was still, my divorce was still pending. So we were actually separated from the other people, and we had gotten together in a relationship while we were separated. But the kids were a major factor for me, because I want a certain kind of person around my children. And I loved his kids too, because I took care of them. So that was great. And even though he said he didn't want to get married, the way I think is, if you want all of this, you're going to have to commit something. He'll tell you, you know, what happened with that situation.
So I have a question for Gradie then. So Gradie, do you think, would you say that Teresa being that extrovert, really, did it really help push any more into you all getting married? Did that kind of help? Did that have more of an influence on you all getting together?
Oh, well, you know, Star, I know that this is an interview, but you really don't have to put me in the spot like that. So I'll go ahead and acquiesce to that question. Yes, actually, I think it did. So with you know, with my type of personality, I think I do tend to live promotion or give promotions to the opposite sex with in regards to their extroverted tendencies. So I guess I would say I would be more of a person who dates in a reciprocal gene environment. And meaning that, it means I tend to attract the same type of women or tend to be gravitated towards the same type of women in my relationships. My past relationships, those ladies were also extroverted, but everything is on levels. And with Teresa, she has a great balance. Extroversion doesn't mean that, you know, you're always the most outgoing or always the most influential or anything like that. It's about a mannerism of how you live and how you perceive things and how you deal with them. So for me, I found that to be a great balance with Teresa. I think she says that we complement each other pretty well. I think I just, you know, maintain and sustain who I am. And then being with Teresa, you know, she is an abundance of energy. So sometimes I tend to, you know, make sure I keep that a little bit corralled so it doesn't get too out of hand. But other than that, you know, we have a great mix.
But I think having one introvert and one extrovert is not always bad. I have not quite been able to identify if I'm an introvert or an extrovert or a little bit of both, because I think for me it depends. I feel like he's an extrovert because he can just talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. And me, I'm more of that person. I'm like, well, I need to kind of feel you out first. I need to just sit back and listen first and see what's really going on. And then I put myself out there more, and then I start talking, and then I can't shut up. So,
oh, well, yeah, that's extroversion, because that's how it is. Remember, this is about levels, and there's levels to introversion and extroversion. And basically with us extroverts, that's what we do. We tend to sit back, listen, and then when we get more comfortable with our environment, you wouldn't know that we're introverts because we're talking all the time about different things. And that's how it is for me everywhere I go. Even at my job, it took me months before I was really acclimated to my area. And now, you know, in the office, they wouldn't be able to tell that I'm an extrovert. So I mean, introvert. Sorry, introvert, because I'm an extrovert now. So that's how it is. But yeah, I agree with you. That's how it is, Star.
good point. Good point.
And I wanted to put in, like he said, corrals me or like tone the energy down. What I found that has been interesting, one, he can deal that I'm extroverted, because just like the Mr. over there in your crew, I talk to any and everybody. I can have a conversation with anybody, and I'm good with that. But it doesn't make him so uncomfortable when we're out that he's like, come on, Teresa, or whatever. And I've been in situations with previous relationships where people couldn't take that. And also sometimes being an extrovert, you can get very extreme. Like, you know, you're so outspoken, you're so way up there, that energy, the Mr. over there know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I got this.
I'm nodding my head, that's true.
Right. So he can bring me down. So I tell a lot of times people that he's more of my calmer. And as a matter of fact, he told me one time if he saw any more than 10% of where he's seen me going before, maybe with the ex or whatever, he's like, he out, because that's a whole different Teresa. And my girlfriends would even say that. They're like, wow, you good with him. But yeah, so it's a total different thing. So I think that's one. And then I think you asked the question earlier, Star. You said, do you think her being an extrovert brought you more into buying into a more committed relationship, a marriage?
Oh, man, I didn't even answer that.
And I say he didn't answer, but I would definitely say it did, because he'll say, "What do you say? Why did we get married?" What did you say?
Because you told him he was going to get married. That's
right. There you go. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically that's how I went, because I really was serious about, you know, never ever get married again, because I had, you know, my previous two relationships where I was married anyway. I mean, the first one wasn't all bad, but I was just young. Second one, it was pretty bad. And then, you know, I had relationships in between there where I pretty much, I have to say, escaped those relationships. And then previous dating, I would be able to like kind of back off from a situation personally, like take a break from it. Teresa was not having that. When I try to come with that, hey, I need to, you know, take a break or go on the ground for a minute. She's like, that's not going to work for me. Here's what we're going to do, blah, blah. It's like, what? That's okay. So it was like that. But, you know, I did it happily. Like, it wasn't like oh, she's making me do this. It wasn't nothing like that. It was like, man, I do love being with this person. And, you know, if this is what she needs to feel comfortable with our relationship, then I'm ready to do that too. And, you know, that's how it is for me. So I could have taken marriage and stayed with her. I could have not been married and stayed with her and would have been just fine with that, I believe. But, you know, Teresa has a little different way that she believes in relationships, and that's fine because, you know, we both have to gravitate to each other's, you know, likes and dislikes and differences and things like
Right.
that. So it was pretty easy for me to make that choice to be like that. You know, it's not a bad choice for me at all to be with Teresa because that's what I want. So it worked out that way.
That's good. That's good. I do want to address something, and it's mainly to our audience. Y'all, it is, and Gradie touched on this a little bit, it is important that you take some time out for yourself after you end a relationship. You need that time to just kind of regather, you know, get your thoughts together, rediscover yourself. However, if you already have somebody in your life when you end your first relationship, if that person is good, if you feel that person is good for you as far as helping you emotionally get through this breakup, then it would be okay to still be in touch with that person and still have them in your life while you're trying to get back in touch with who you are as an individual. That would be okay. And that's what happened with Gradie and Teresa. Teresa was someone who Gradie saw as someone who was good for him emotionally. So for her to say, okay, I know you're saying you might need a little break, but let me give you some ideas on how you can have that time for yourself, but still stay in touch with me because I'm not letting you go anywhere. So I don't know if she said it like that, but because she was able to give him some advice on how to handle his recovery period, I'm pretty sure Gradie's thought to himself, well, all right, I can keep this woman around because she's helping me to become to get better and get back in touch with myself. But I'm sure if Teresa if she didn't have that mindset, he would have told her, no, I need this time to myself so that I can recover and get back in touch with Gradie. But she didn't. She was able to support him, and now we see the results. The two of them are together, and it seems like it's working out great.
Yeah. So I have a question, and you all excuse me because I promise you, I think my allergies are just like saying no today, but I'm saying yes. So with you all having the different personality types here, the introvert, extrovert, what do the roles in your house look like right now? Like, how did you all come to those different roles that you have, and what does that look like?
It's definitely a mixture, a balanced kind of thing, and it is always something that's always in progress for us. Because one thing that I liked about Gradie, just like you were mentioning earlier, Mister, is that he was more understanding, you know, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with this idea with Teresa saying I'm not going to get a break, because he really was trying to get a break so he could see if he wanted to date or if he wanted to be by himself. But I knew that that's not what, you know, was going to work for me, but also our kids and everything else. But with him as a person, he always, as a man, I liked him because he would never make me feel like I had to ask him, can I do stuff? Or that I had to have choices. So he always told me, like, you're your own person. And so number one, we both say that we're our own person. And he reminds me constantly that he's his own person, like constantly, because
That's
you know,
awesome.
I'm an extrovert and I'm like, come on, let's do this, let's do that. And he'd be like, I'm not doing it. Or he'll start. Now it's something we used to do together business-wise in the last few years, where we go and speak. And the other day I was like, hey, we got some more stuff. He's like, listen, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. So in our home, it more is like we decide on things together. When we got married, we were a partnership. Since I do have a very strong personality, he does remind me, like, you ain't gonna just tell me and I'm gonna agree to everything you say. And sometimes that's really hard for me, but you know, it is what it is. So our stuff, I would say, is more like a partnership, and I'm reminded a lot. And then I also would say, because I'm a leader in a bunch of different things that I do, he's very supportive of me and what I do as an extrovert. And so I have to be reminded that he's an introvert and that he needs a different type of support. So that's how I feel. How about you?
Yeah, that sums it up pretty nicely. I would agree. Everything in this household, I do believe it's more of a partnership kind of thing. We discuss a lot of choices before we actually make them, and sometimes those choices in our discussions tend to be very loud because of our, difference in perception, the way we think about them. But we do respect each other's thought process, and I do value her opinion, and I think she values mine as well. That does help us make the best choices we can for our household, especially with our 2 teenage daughters and dealing with some of their stuff. So, we always have had that team concept ever since we've been together, and it's been working out for us, and I like it. I don't have the energy to try to manipulate or boss or run anyone, and I always told that to Teresa. I would never, disrespect her in that manner, and I would hopefully think that she would do the same for me, and it has been that way. Teresa is a natural leader, and she does lead many groups and things like that. However, I'm not a part of those groups, so I do let her know. So I do let her know at certain times, hey, this is not that, Teresa. This is Gradie, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm gonna let you know. So, and we're gonna keep it cool like that. That's about it. But yeah, again, we both are, Star. I'm sorry to keep going on here, but
No, you're fine.
she's an extrovert. I am an introvert, but I've also been a leader and still lead in certain ways in different capacities for different things I do. And it doesn't make that much of a difference. It really is about a thought process and a belief system and how you perceive things to be and what you would like them to, come to fruition. So that's all I got to say on that subject. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Grady. One of the things that you said, and I think our audience needs to understand, is just because your partner or anyone for that fact is an introvert, it does not mean that they are not a leader. That has nothing to do with them being a leader, whether it's in the relationship, on the job, or whatever. Introverts sometimes can be the best leaders because they do have that time where they think more. And Teresa, I can relate to you with the, he allows me to be myself, but then when I'm trying to get us to do things, sometimes I get that, no, this is not what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of hard to accept right now, but I'm just gonna step away. I'm gonna walk away and take a moment because that's okay. You are your own person too, even though I want you to do this right now.
I wanted to say something about that. See, I'm not always okay. I'm
not okay. I have to tell myself I'm okay so that I can be okay.
At least you tell yourself you're okay so you can be okay. Brady and I, when he said it'll get a little loud at times, our kids rarely see us mad at each other, that kind of thing. But they know we can have some loud discussions because I will try to get my point across. And at a point, he's like, like I said, that's not what I agree with. You need to listen to my viewpoint too. So I have to bring myself down, often, or he will be like, oh, whatever, because no, that's not what I believe. Because he generally doesn't, unless it's something he really doesn't believe in, he'll say, okay, neither way. Just like when you asked for a picture for this particular show, I had to go and bring it to him because before I used to just pick whatever. And when we used to see whatever, I just pick stuff and then I show him like, wait a minute, I didn't want that, so now I know I bring more things to him and I'll ask him, but I may not agree with it. And some days I don't talk myself down like you do. And so I think it just matters just being honest too, like who you are and how you do things. But it has helped me, me being an extrovert, to have someone to sometimes bring it back to me. Because I tell one of my family members all the time, this relationship has made me grow and growing and kind of get to know myself better because you got somebody else that's there checking you. And that's the one thing, no matter what, he will check me. Even if I said something about business or whatever, he'll tell me it's not okay or that's not right. I don't believe in it or his viewpoint because he's my partner and it's okay that he has a different preference or opinion.
And for the record,
it is okay.
Absolutely.
Maintaining the individual personality in the relationship is really, really important. I did want to ask you, because you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I just want you to be more specific. So I'm going to put in a question. How do you handle arguments in your household?
We have that.
Um,
How
so
do you
I think we both are answers because we probably think about that a little differently. Just for the record, though, I did not help pick out the picture for this show topic today. So
You did. I just said.
she didn't show me the picture. She thinks she did, but I didn't see it. But that's okay.
it.
That's okay.
He's getting old. He's not remembering things. You know, he's a few years older than me.
Well,
No,
Gradie, I have 3 options and I will forward them back to you so you can
no,
make a decision.
it's okay, Star, because I'm sure I look good in all of them, so it's okay.
All right. Okay.
So how we look at how we deal with arguments and things like that, Anton. Okay, so I will tell you this. It is kind of the weirdest thing. Like in past relationships, well, no, I won't even start with that. Let's just deal with this here because Teresa and I, we have some very heated debates about various topics all the time. And it's weird because we could have that heated debate and probably the next, 5 or 10 minutes later, most times, we'd be like, hey, babe, what you want to go get to eat? Or what you want to do now? Or, something like that. It's just it's one of those things that it's a hot flame. And then we're able to move on from it really quick and extinguish that. But we already have made a decision if it was something we had to decide on, or if it's just a topic that we start talking about and we just have a mutual disagreement on, we move on from it. So I can't say that we actually have any kind of plan to do that. I can't say that we're not those type of people who say, well, we're never going to go to bed mad, and because that's just not realistic. But luckily for us, we don't seem to have that kind of issue. Once in a blue moon, we have maybe gone the next day and still kind of not felt each other really too tough at that time because of that previous argument, but that's not our reality. It's weird how we're able just to move on, and I'm glad that we're able to do that, but I think it speaks to, our values and beliefs and how we perceive each other's thought process and respect that. So I think that's the reason why that happens.
Okay.
Right. What about you, Teresa? Did you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think Gradie is about right on that because we do move on. And even our kids will say, because my kids say that they're like, you be so nice to him. You're so whatever. But they would even say like, man, y'all, even with our children the same way, y'all can be upset and we move on to the next thing. We've dealt with it, go on, figure out whatever the consequence is, and we move on. So I think we say that. Like even one of my siblings says, he said, if y'all are upset or just doing whatever, y'all argue like an old couple, but the next minute I might be hugging him or something. That's just how we are. And then it's never with us too. It's never like really serious, heavy stuff. So it's not really, really serious, heavy stuff because one of the things we omitted and really didn't talk about and being different and getting together is we were coming out of relationships that we had to do and rebuild a lot of things because when you go through divorce, all kinds of things happen. And so we dealt with a lot of real hard things together. So regular life or even where we are today, this is like gravy or getting to be like gravy versus where we were.
Right.
And so since we dealt with a lot of hard things together in the beginning, I think that we're able to argue and get over disputes and make decisions a little bit better, differently, because we've done a lot of battling together. We are really good in crisis. Like we have went through many things where I don't think many couples would have survived.
And a lot of that occurred early on when y'all were I guess dating, but still going through the divorce and separation, right?
Right, but also being a blended family, so ongoing, because now you have, and like for instance with me, I have the ex-husband, he has a wife, Gradie has an ex-wife, she has or had a spouse or whomever, so it's in all these different things. So we've had to do a lot of adjusting and make sure that we're able to grow as well as like just survive at a point after all those things. And so now when we're in an argument, it's not a huge thing because we know what we've been through. It's like we know the fire we've been through. So I'm thinking that also helps out. You think so, Gradie?
Yeah, it was basically, you know, in a relationship after, you know, previously, I would say not so healthy relationships, and dealing with the dynamics of other outside sources after that, that's what can actually break, you know, couples. Yeah, there's finances, there's mental anguish, you know, there's a lot of other, you know, issues that deal with that, but there are also a lot of unknown variables. Some of the variables are known, but they have unknowns within those variables as well. And when you deal with those and you're able to navigate that and then come out perceived unscathed, or you're going to have some marks, but still, for the most part, you know, we work through those. So I can see how couples can actually not survive in that type of environment, because it's easy to cut and run, you know, when things are going bad from one side or the other. That's very easy to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, but because she and I, you know, loved each other, and I felt that we relied on each other's strength to pull us through, whether we both were struggling or one of us was struggling, the other would pick that up. I know I struggled real bad, but I had my own issues I was trying to deal with. And, you know, Teresa's been very supportive of that. And I know I always support her in whatever she does. And that helped us get through everything. But yeah, it's a lot of different dynamics outside of a relationship that can also destroy a relationship. So that's how I looked at it. She told me to cut it off.
No, you're fine.
No,
No,
you're
you're
doing
fine. This is your stage.
It helps to have you all elaborate a little bit
Yeah.
more. So,
And I think that's good points that both of you made, that you all went through so much in the beginning that everything else, it just seems so small, and you realize that. And I can honestly relate, because as a matter of fact, I was just telling you this yesterday when you brought those books home. One of the things in that, it was a book that I was reading at one point when we weren't together, and it was the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff in Love. And in that book, it gives you a perspective on, you know, what's really the small things, and how big are these things that you're blowing up to be so big. But at the same time, would you rather do this with this person or go out there and try to start all over and do it with somebody else? Like, is it really that serious that you have to just keep holding on to whatever this is that you're disagreeing about, instead of just getting past it, because it's really not that serious and it's really not that big? It's only what your mind is telling you that it's that big, because you're angry, you're upset, and you're not taking time to really process what's happening, because you're only thinking about your own perspective. So I think that's really good information.
I do want to touch on something that Teresa mentioned about, it was something that you said you do when shortly after you two may have had an argument. You said you might walk up to him and hug him, and I want to talk a little bit more about that, because the touch of your spouse can help bring you back to reality. It can help you to calm down when you reach that moment of explosion. You know, it can help you to say, okay, it's really not that bad. You know, I still love you, babe. And, you know, y'all might do a little kiss on the cheek or whatever, but that's one method that you can use just to let your partner know, okay, I'm still a little upset with you, but I still love you.
Right. There's no love lost. We just got this disagreement we got to get through.
Right. So just remember that, y'all, the intimate touch can help with letting your partner know that you're still there for them, you still love them, and nothing has changed between the two of you. Y'all are just having a disagreement at this moment, but everything is all good. Another thing I wanted to ask you was, actually, Gradie, this question is for you. Have you had to convince Teresa to do something that you really wanted to do, but she wasn't feeling it?
Lately?
Or just at any time? With you being more of the introvert and her being the extrovert, have you ever had one of the moments where you were like, okay, babe, I really want you to do this with me, or I want you to join in on this, but Teresa was kind of hesitant and was just like, I'm not really feeling it. What, have you had a moment like that?
Let's see. You know, I don't know. I don't think so, because the way I am, like, I like doing things on my own anyway, and Teresa really, some of the things I might like to do, it's not going to resonate with Teresa now. But the way that Teresa works is this: she'll know that I like doing certain things, and she might actually, set up a date to include some of those things without me asking.
Oh.
So I really appreciate that. Now, if you want to ask the reverse question, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let's reverse
Reverse
it. Yeah.
question.
Let's reverse it. Teresa.
Now, yeah, because I answer it for her because, yeah, she has a lot of things that, she is into and, wants me to take part in. And I've gotten a lot better over the years and, acquiescing to those requests. However, before, it was always no, I'm not going to do it. And that's just it. But now, I decided to open up a little bit more and say yes to a lot of things. It's been pleasant, I have to admit. A lot of things I wasn't expecting to be fun or educating for myself or anything like that. They have been, and I've been grateful that she asked me to do them. But yeah, we don't try to tend to, I don't try to tend to force her to do anything that I like to do. I do invite her if it's something I want to do, like such as fishing or video gaming or anything like that. She's not going to do it, but I'm going to ask because one day she might just want to come out and experience it, and that's fine. I like her to, but other way around, yeah, she tries, and some things yes, some things no for me with her, but it works out.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, so y'all went the other way around?
That was the other way around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 'cause
Oh,
we're pretty sure you ask a lot of things, and he's like,
Yeah.
no, I ain't feeling that today, or never, or ever. No. Mm-mm.
And a lot of times I don't ask. I'll just, I don't ask, and I might not even ask him to be a part of something because I know he's not comfortable with it. So like, whereas some people, especially with doing a lot of leading and being in charge of a bunch of stuff and a bunch of organizations, where some women, their spouse is always with them. I know my husband's not going to always be with me because that's not his personality. But if it matters and I need him to show up, he will show up. And it's funny because he always like never want to do it. Like he really don't want to be bothered. And once he's there, he's like he's talking. Everybody thinks he's so great. I mean, he's been on like to national conferences and stuff with me and all kinds of stuff. And they're like, everybody's like, your husband is great. He's da 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 da. Like, yeah, he is. But it's about getting him out of his shell. And then also sometimes I do need to back off. And then the other thing he said is certain things that he does, like this week we were talking about fishing, and I was like, yeah, I'll do fishing. I'll try fishing. But I'm not trying, like he always talking about video games. I'm not interested. It's a waste of my time, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not doing that. But he has stepped up and done many things that I want to do, especially going to events, public speaking. He's great at speaking, business-wise and stuff like that, but he doesn't like it. And we've done conferences and all sorts of things together speaking. So he's been to trainings and did all kinds of stuff. And then he's also told me where I pulled him in too far. And he's not that interested anymore. And so I have some things that I was doing like with special needs children and that I do and different stuff. And then at first he said he was interested in it. And then he said, you know what? That's not me. That's too heavy for me, but I will support you and let me know how I can support you. But I'm not able to do this. This is what I can do. So I've learned over the years where he's going to support me. It's going to be where it matters.
Yeah. And also just to say, she said something about me being in a shell. It's not really a shell. Remember, Star said something about that leadership and introversion and extroversion. It's the same thing. Like I do have certain areas where I excel at and lead at and things like that. So going to those national conferences, remember, I can go to them. Yeah, I'm not, all keen on getting to those. But once I'm there, I'm in a certain different kind of element. It's business or it's educational. I'm probably going to take the lead in that respect like I normally do. And, outside of working with Teresa in my own realm, as far as my work, that's how it is. So it's not really even a shell. It's just that I like to take a step back, relax a little bit. I'm more laid back and things like that. So going out and spending whole Saturdays and Sundays with a bunch of people I don't know and just they're talking about stuff that's like really, really heavy. I need a time to take off because I work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and I have a lot of stress with that. I want a break. So every now and then, if it's something that Teresa really does need my support with, absolutely, I'll be there. It doesn't matter what day, what time, or any time like that, I'll be there. If she needs me, I'll be there. And if it's something she can't do alone, of course, I'm a partner with her. So it's just that, but I do get to have the autonomy to pick and choose some of those things I get to do with her.
That's awesome.
It is. One thing I want to point out to our audience is something that you all touched on, and it was when it was mentioned that Teresa will sometimes put things together that she knows Gradie would be willing to participate in. And so by doing that, she's making it a little bit easier for him to say yes. It cuts down on her trying to negotiate with him and trying to get him to come along. She's already considered things that he likes to do or things that he's interested in. So she's found a way to include it in whatever it is she's trying to do. And so as a result, Gradie may say yes, or he probably has said yes many times. So just try to remember that when you're in a opposite relationship similar to this, try to keep in mind the things that your partner loves to do, the things that your partner is interested in, and try to find those type of things to include in whatever it is you're trying to get whatever it is you're trying to do, so that your partner be willing to participate and support you.
And on top of that, when you're dealing with an introvert, or I guess as Gradie has said, I'm an extrovert, I'm just still a little bit confused. I think just being able to work the layers and understand that there's layers to it, because it's not always I'm in a shell and I just don't want to talk to somebody. I've got to get to a place of comfort. So understanding that about your partner and knowing that there's layers to it, to getting them to where you may see that they have all of this great potential, they will be great at this, and helping them to get there in layers. But at the same time, understanding, because one of the things a lot of people will tell me is, you're so good at this, but I need people to understand, and Gradie, you may feel the same way. Yes, I might be great at it, but it's not my passion, right? It's not something that I'm passionate about. So, being able to respect that factor at the same time, like, this is not my passion. I love what you're doing. I love it, but it's just not my passion. So it's not something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's a great point. I agree with that. Yeah, I do get that quite a bit. You're great at this, you're great at that. And yeah, and one is probably due to some training. Two, I want to be great at whatever I do and put my mind to, or put my name to. And, it's all a part of that. It's a lot of reasons why, but people are so capable of doing many, many different great things in life in the first place. And why do I have to just be great at one thing and not others? I can be great at everything, but they might not all be my passions. But I can definitely, deal with those and be as good as I want to be at them, and hope you, feel the same about that when you see me, perform or whatever I'm doing. So yeah, thanks for bringing that out, Star, because I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So I have a question for both of you. So I'm laughing because I don't know how it went over here between us, but whatever, we'll leave that for another day. Being that you're the extrovert, Teresa, did you propose to Gradie, or did he propose to you like a traditional proposal, or how did that go?
We ain't getting no proposals. The girls asked me this. There were no proposals. Okay.
So how did that work out?
So let me tell you how that worked out. Actually, there were no proposals. We talked about getting married, and at first Gradie was saying he didn't want to, he wasn't ready to get married. That he did want to marry me, and he'll remind me about a few years ago. He said, "See, this is around the time we would have been getting married." He had a plan some years down the road, but I was like, "Nah, that don't sound right to me." So, and I had another thing is I had a child in my home, and for me, like he said, I have a different way of thinking. He had children, I had children. We were already pooling our finances and everything else, and so we decided to get married. And so we actually decided to get married. There was no proposal. Again, never ever got a proposal. And it's funny because my first marriage, there was no proposal as well. So it's just like, to me, that was not the case. It's like on this marriage, he's like, you know what, I want to marry you. I want to be married one day, possibly. But then remember, he said he wasn't never getting married again.
Right.
I'm like, listen, I've already invested this amount of time. I'm 30 something or whatever I was. Me and my kid are here. And so we just decided on a date we were going to get married. And that's how it worked for us. And that's pretty much it. What do you say? And you go ahead with your story on it.
My story.
Because you always tell people your love it.
Yeah, it was very. I want to say it was almost impromptu because we did just make a decision one day. Yeah, let's go ahead and get married. And I don't know if I agreed to the day or anything. We just kind of left it hanging out there. Let's just get married. So happens we were downtown Decatur having lunch, and I think some people were coming out of the courthouse, and lady had a wedding dress on or something. And Teresa like, this is the day. I was like, okay, all right.
Wow.
So
Okay.
let's finish this lunch. I'm gonna order some more wings or something like that. And then she kept saying I was prolonging it. I was just trying to, I don't know what I was trying to do, but anyway.
So we had already got our marriage certificate.
Yeah, we didn't know when we were going to do it.
We just didn't know when we were going to get married. So we had
okay.
already got our marriage certificate, and we didn't know. And we decided that day we would go and get married. And not only did we not have do a marriage, we didn't do
ceremony.
A proposal. We also our ceremony was a little bit different as well. So it was at the courthouse, but he wasn't able to give us the full ceremony. The judge wasn't. So that was a whole nother story. You remember that, Gradie?
Yeah, you can tell it.
So we get to the courthouse to get married, and they said, well, we have so many. The judge came out. He said, I've had so many things going on. I need everybody that's here to get married to come back later on, like in the next hour. So that's why we went and had lunch. We had lunch, we talked, whatever. We went back in the next hour. We said, hey, we're back. Remember, we have small children. This is during the daytime. We got to go pick the kids up at school.
Yeah, he was late.
And he was late, and he came and said, you know what? I can marry you guys, but I can't do the full ceremony. So we just said, I will marry Gradie. Yes, I do. I will marry Teresa. Yes, I do. What you say?
Yeah, then they sent our certificate in the mail.
Wow.
That was in the hallway of the courthouse. I remember that. Yeah. There's a bunch of people out there waiting too, boy.
Wow.
Kids didn't believe it. They didn't believe it until we got our certificate, I think, or something.
Yeah, we had to show them the certificate because they're like, nobody had a wedding.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all not really married.
Right.
Wow, that's some good stuff though.
But we did have an event. Star, we had a partnership celebration where we invited, we had like a small reception. It was really nice. Really, really nice. And thinking back now, like Gradie and I, neither one of us he says I'm more traditional, but I'm not, I, as a woman, am not the type of woman that has to have all the bells and whistles of things. But I did want to have at least a reception. And so we had a reception, but it was called a partnership celebration. So everything that we ever started and do really was and is about partnership. And so that was cool. But thinking back now, those people were eating all our food.
We should have took a trip.
We should have took a trip somewhere.
Yeah,
so next time.
I said,
that's interesting.
Let's go to the country.
Yeah, for us, it was kind of that non-traditional thing too, because now I decided after being in a couple of weddings that, I was done. I didn't want a full-on wedding. Before I was like, oh, I want this big wedding. This is what I want. And then after being in two of them, I was like, this is too much. Like, I don't have time to be waiting on bridesmaids to do their part and all this extra stuff. I'm impatient. I'm a perfectionist. So if they don't do it, I'm gonna get upset. I might end up being the bridezilla. So let me just calm down on all of that. And so as far as the non-traditional side, we actually, we got married at a park, at a gazebo. It was only us and immediate family, like our parents and the kids and grandparents. And then our reception was actually at a restaurant where it was each pays own.
We should have did that.
Yeah.
We were not playing the games. We were not trying to do all of that
each pays own, and I was not even going to have the reception. And my cousin was like, you have to have a reception. You have to have a reception. I said, look, if I'm having a reception, you're taking care of this, and it's each pays on, because we're not paying for this many people to eat. Right. So, and I said, well, you know what, whoever wants to be there to celebrate with us, they'll be there. And I think we had probably about 30 people who showed up.
We did send out some invitations.
We sent invitations out.
But I would say, maybe 40% of the people that were there, they came because they loved us. And they wanted to be there to celebrate that moment with us.
And I think
they didn't receive invitations.
I think to our audience, it's important that they understand that you don't have to do all the extra. You know, I remember walking into David's Bridal for my wedding gown, and I said, my budget is $300. And the lady was like, oh, I don't think I can help you. I said, okay, bye. She was like, no, I was just kidding. I was like, I wasn't. You know, that was my budget, and I wasn't going to spend anymore. And I was serious about that, you know.
But part of the reasons for that, y'all, was, and this is something that we think y'all, anyone who wants to get married, you may want to consider this. Part of the reason Star was being so frugal was because we had decided we wanted to have a lovely honeymoon. So we wanted to make sure that when we went on our honeymoon, we were going to enjoy it. Right. So we used the money that we were going to invest in our wedding. We put that money into our honeymoon. We did a lot of shopping. We ate at all the restaurants that we have been wanting to eat at, and we just had a great time. Great time.
So that's pretty cool, though. That's an interesting proposal marriage ceremony going on over there.
I was going to say something.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, when you guys were just talking about your honeymoon thing, the best thing when we had that reception, and a sad thing, because we just celebrated 9 years of marriage a few weeks ago, that I remember is we paid for all this food. We had, you know, I had an event plan, all these things, and we had so much food left over because some people that had RSVP didn't show up.
Wow.
And so I was literally giving, Gradie was upset. He was like, don't be giving all this food away. He's like, whatever. So
chicken wings.
Yeah, it was the chicken, some chicken tenders or something. It was some kind of tray, all of those things. Oh yeah, and drinks. But the thing that I remember is he kept saying, even though we stayed at that hotel we had it in, he said, well, we could have done a trip. And so a few years later, we did do a trip. But I always think of that. And I thought I thought that reception was a waste at some point, until a few weeks ago, one of my friends was like, yeah, I was at your reception, and I remembered the ones that had shown up. And because I had been married before and had the outside wedding and had receptions and all that stuff, I didn't want to spend that kind of money. But now I'm like, I'm glad that I had that little reception, but I do wish I could have had a bigger honeymoon then as well. So I think that was a great idea you guys did as well. Next time, if I ever get married, remarried, or vow renewal, I'm just telling you in case you want to do something like that.
Hey, we could
Great.
She's talking about with you.
Gradie, what she's doing is she's throwing you a hint, Gradie, and letting you know she wants another honeymoon. That's what she's doing. She's throwing a hint out at you, baby. I want another honeymoon. I want it to be big.
You know, I just thought about that same thing and say, yeah, we don't have to do all that extra stuff. We just go ahead straight to the honeymoon.
There you go.
Straight to the honeymoon.
Everybody will be happy. Okay, I have another question I wanted to ask y'all, because we're talking about being in opposite type of relationship, and this is about finances. So if both of you can, comment on this, I would appreciate it, and I think it will help our audience if both of you comment on this. Regarding the management of your finances, do you all have a joint bank account? Do you have separate bank accounts, or do you have a joint and separate bank accounts?
Yes, all the above.
All of the above. That's great. That's
yeah,
awesome.
That's good stuff.
So do you mind telling the audience why you decided to have all of those, the joint and your individual accounts?
Gradie told me to go ahead.
I mean, I could, but Teresa can probably elaborate a little bit better than I can. So
because we were like transferring money to each other. Number one, he had to go get money out of his account. I had to go get money out of my account. Sometimes it was hard having two different accounts. And also Gradie, financially, like when numbers is better with numbers than me. So he came to me several times in the beginning, because I'm real funny about my money. Because he, it's funny. I'm real funny about my money, but he comes to me several times like, listen, we need to join our accounts. No, first I asked to do joint accounts, and he didn't want to do it. But I convinced him because it was a discount for us for this particular bank because he's a veteran. So he was like, yeah, we get a discount. So we were able to do that. But the main reason we did it is better and it's easier to see your spending and your savings. You can track things and you can buy things together, and you can transfer money out of your own account into that account. So if you have to pay half the rent, half the mortgage, or whatever it is, you can put your money in there and his money's there too. And then it also puts some really like that partnership part together, and it gives something to look at. Because he was telling me, like, I would tell him, the light bill, this due. And he was like, yeah, where's that recorded at? I can't see it. And so it really helps us with tracking.
Yeah, it helps with tracking, but the main reason why I like the joint accounts is because it's very specific. So just because you have one account don't mean you can't have 2 or 3 accounts, and you can separate each one of those accounts and condition those to where you need them, such as our joint account mainly is for our household. It's gonna take care of the bills. It's gonna take care of rent. All that goes into that pot there. So that money is separate from any other other business ventures or purchases we make in our other accounts. And that's how we want that, because you need to run your home like a business. And that's what I agree with. So that's why we have the separate bank accounts, because one is totally central to everything else that we're doing. It's very specific to the household. And then her other couple of accounts that she has for business and for personal, that's hers. And I have my own for business and personal that are at the same banks. But, pulling all that money just for bills and pulling from here and there, that's kind of ridiculous. So we want to centralize that. And that's why we have that one main joint account. And we can use it for other purposes too if we see fit, but that's the main reason for it.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's really good. We too have the joint account for household and taking care of the things with the household. And then we have our separate accounts where it's our own personal accounts. We can do what we want, have some fun, so that doesn't interfere with what we know needs to be in that bank account to take care of the household. So that's good stuff. And I think the audience should really think about that, because I know I talk to a lot of women specifically, and they don't want to do the separate accounts, and I think it more becomes a trust thing. Honestly, I think that's really what it is when it comes down to it. But I think it's really important that you keep those funds separate from your own personal, whatever fun you want to have. That's your money to do what you want to do. And I think it also helps you, getting back to the beginning of the conversation, keep that individual perspective of who you are and what you want to do, because this is your time and your money. Do you?
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start wrapping this up, but before we do, I want to throw one more question at you all. What's something that the two of you do, like when you have your date nights or something like that? What's something that you do that you think other couples would want to know? Like, how do you add some spice to your relationship on your date nights, or what do you do to keep it fun and interesting?
I don't know why Teresa's not answering that one, but I think it's about trying to just stay creative. Like Teresa is very creative in how she thinks about date nights and things like that, and it makes a difference if you're a willing partner. And if I do create something and try to surprise Teresa with it, she might not know exactly what it is. There's been a couple that kind of backfired on me, but it ended up being really, really nice. I'm really feeling it and what I was trying to get done until we actually got into the moment, and she said, "Oh, okay, that's what this is." But yeah, it makes a difference. And if you just try to be creative in what you're doing, it don't always have to be movie and dinner. It always have to be go to a club and dance, and it could be a little different getaway to like a hotel, and you have some food and you talk, or maybe go to a hotel and just do business things together, and y'all top that night out with each other. So it's a lot of different things that we do when we get a chance to do it. But it is important, especially if you have kids. You gotta take time for yourselves to always stay connected, because that's that partnership. And when you disconnect and then you have the kids, you feel like you can never get away. I hear a lot of people say that, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Oh, okay. That's
Teresa,
good.
you got Teresa, you're kind of
Yeah,
quiet over there.
I'm crying because I wanted to hear him because I do a lot of
Yeah.
date night planning and stuff. One I was going to say, when you have a partner that is very affectionate, that's helpful. And Grady is very affectionate. I'm more of a planner. I'm affectionate as well, but more of like a planner and let's have fun kind of thing. So we've done all sorts of date nights. Anton said it best, like, especially women, y'all got to think about like things that they're going to want to do. They don't always want to do our little foo-foo stuff. It'll remind me like sometimes like, okay, so I've done things like he said, he'll talk about hotels, because I'll be like, okay, let's just do a staycation, or you know what, we're going to do a Super Bowl party, just me and you. So we've done that a few times in and out of town, and we have, the Super Bowl cake, all kinds of stuff. And then women like dress yourself up. I have a picture that everybody loves, and they're like, where did you get that picture? That picture was at the hotel. Y'all just got a headshot, but I had my face beat, everything. Even if you're not a girly girl, like make sure you're doing those kind of things too, because men are visual.
That's just a headshot.
Yeah, that was a headshot.
No,
It
no.
it was a headshot for them. Boo.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So,
I was like, wow. I was like, you showed that? Oh, great.
no. So anyway, doing those kind of things, and then another thing Anton said is like doing things that the guys like that I thought I was gonna like. A few years ago we did a day date. So we do day dates. We were going to do a day date today, and then I could feel his energy, and I thought about my energy. I was like, I don't feel like doing that. Are you wanting to go? He said no. But one time we did a day date, and it was all based on things that I know that he would like, because he's always doing things that I like. So we started off at, and I drove that day because I love him driving. I'm like, you can drive. He's like, you got your own car, why don't you drive?
Yes, drive, husband, drive.
Drive us, okay? I'm back with grandmama, and then baby, can you drive me? So he was like, you going to drive today? I was like, I'm driving us everywhere today. He was like, what is going on? So I drove us everywhere. We went to have breakfast at one of his little spots. And when we left there, on Saturday mornings, men have routines. A lot of y'all have different little routines y'all want to do sometimes. And he like going to go to car wash. So we went and cleaned the car. I was like, one of the best little car washes that he loves. So after we ate, he's like, where are we going now? I was like, and I drove to the car wash. He was like, what? And we cleaned the car together and had a good time talking. And then he's like, where are we going next? And we drove up the street to the next county, and we pulled up in the gun range, right?
Oh yeah.
And so he's like, you set this up already? Yeah. So we do a lot of different things. Then I also, buy things from other professionals, like the Mrs. over there, keeping it spicy as well. So I think it's a lot of different ways. And I have to give Mr. and Ms. over here too credit. It's a lot of different ways to keep those date nights fun. I learned from them, start talking to your children about stay the heck away from my bedroom sometimes, because you don't know what's going on in here. I had to tell my girls they love our bed. They love the mattress, because I made Grady upgrade our mattress setup up in here. And he said it was too soft for him, but I love it. But the girls love it. And they just come and lay and crawl on my bed. I said, y'all don't know what's going on in this bed.
Right.
I know, we know.
Yeah, you got your own bed. Go on in there and get in your bed.
Yeah, I just bought them beds.
Get out of my bed. And the last thing I want to say is having at home, like right now, COVID. So when we had our anniversary this year, Grady was like, where you want to go to dinner, baby? And he was telling me all these places. And I was like, no, I can't eat outside. He was like, I'm not going outside today, Teresa. It's cold to eat. And so we went and bought whatever the top of line steak he wanted to get us for dinner. And we found a recipe online, and he cooked dinner, and I got all dolled up, and he got himself, and we just were chilling. But we had a party up in here. It was like our own little party. And I was dancing around, and he was just watching me. We had the music going, had the candles going, had flowers, had food, had drinks, had dessert. And then how he said it, you top off the night.
That's right. Top it off, baby. Yeah.
It was all that dancing around that you was doing. They helped you.
Yeah, you know it, Anton. You know it.
All right, y'all. This has been awesome. Okay, so we like to close each interview with a moment that allows our guests to share a bit of their wisdom with our audience. So if you can, leave our audience with a tidbit of information, a little bit of wisdom that they can get from this interview, so that they can apply it to their relationship.
Mm.
One thing I would say is stay open to, suggestions and possibilities from your partner. Having an open mind could lead to other things that open up for you later on. You just never know by saying yes to some things that you might have the most fun you ever had, or it might just, open up something that you just never know that could have been possible. So have an open mind and listen to your partner, and, just, try to listen to those suggestions and think about them in a different way. Try to see them from their point of view.
All right.
Good.
I would say be creative in your thinking in all aspects of your relationship, well, whether it be financial, whether it be relationship emotional wise or family wise. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times, I know when Gradie and I first started dating, I remember the first time he took me to a really, really like expensive dinner, and I was like, wow, he's really dining and wining and dining me this time. And I was like, this is cool, but I was concerned because I knew financially we were rebuilding, right? And creatively, financially is nobody have to have a lot of money to show love and have a good relationship. So there are ways to be creative and get to the park and do things at home when you don't have it. And family wise, being creative, making sure you're tying your family into it. But like with Star and the Mister there showed us or talked to us about an event they had one time, is like, be creative too, and be creative and comfortable in talking to your children about what a healthy relationship is. Because even our teenager today, she said, oh, I see y'all didn't go anywhere. So I know where y'all were going. Y'all were going on a date, but people act like they don't date. And then just being creative and keeping it fun. And knowing that even being creative will get you through those hard times, because sometimes we need to open our mind up that person is different from us. Because that's really hard for me. Like sometimes it's very hard for me. Like, I'm so outgoing, but then if I listen to what he said and creatively think about it, and I'm saying creative as in a way of looking at it a different way, I understand. So creativity can go a long way in your relationship.
All right.
All right,
You're right.
that's good.
I totally agree with both of you.
Yep. Being creative and not always being creative, but not always having to recreate the wheel is like super important too, because you may not be the most creative person. You can go find it on YouTube. You can go listen to some podcasts like this one, find out what everybody else is doing and try it in your own relationship, right? You won't know until you try it, but just try it anyway. So, all right. Well, we certainly appreciate the both of you for coming on here today. We'll probably more than likely have y'all back again, because there were a couple of things that I really want to talk to y'all about, especially as it relates to running the household like a business. I think that's important, and that was a concept that I had to get used to. So we would love to have y'all back for that, hopefully. Can we find you on social media?
Oh, the way you can find me on social media is going just at Mom Biz Boss. So MOMBIZ Boss, just Mom Biz Boss. That would be the best one via Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
And then you can find me being mentioned in Teresa's Facebook.
That's good. That's good.
right.
That's exactly how you can find him.
That's all they need to know.
Gradie, you were a celebrity before I met you. Just know that. You were a celebrity before I met you, which is a great thing.
All right, great. That's good to hear.
All right. Well, it was good having y'all. Actually, it was great. It was definitely a pleasure.
My pleasure too. Thank you all.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all take care.
All right, bye-bye.